Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Oh, Hare Krishna. You're in this.
Maharaj, I think we need to wait a little for to get joined. Only we are two students here. Only Krishna and me.
Huh?
We have two devotees here, Upana Krishna and me. So it will be nice if we wait for other devotees until they join.
When are they coming? How long will they be? Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
I think
Huh? How long?
two minutes.
2 minutes? Okay. So can we begin now?
Yes, brothers.
Thank you, Prabhu. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to our ongoing study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on the 9th canto, and this evening we're looking at chapter number 24, which is the final chapter of this 9th canto. So the chapter begins, well, this chapter is entitled Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, of course, it's a prelude to the 10th canto. After this chapter, then we go into the 10th canto and we'll hear all about Lord Krishna. So the chapter begins with description of the descendants of Vidarbha, who was the son of Jammaga and Saibya, the Chandra dynasty. Right, we heard yesterday in the previous chapter how Jammaga... Can you please mute your mic? Upananda Keshav Prabhu. So we heard about Jamada and Saibya. Saibya was barren. Hey, look, Upananda Keshav, can you mute your mic, please? Mute your mic. We heard how Saibya was barren, but because her husband Jamaga had a blessing from the demigods, she was able to conceive a child. So that child, he became the king, he took over the position of the king, and he ruled the earth. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, you were disconnected for some time.
Yeah, I got disconnected. One thing after another. Hare Krishna. All right, so we're on chapter 24 of the 9th canto. And so we're going to hear about the appearance of Lord Krishna. So the chapter begins. Chapter begins telling us about Vidarbha and how he had 3 sons, Kusha, Krata and Romapada. And Romapada was the favorite in the dynasty of Vidarbha. And then we hear about the son of Romapada and then the son like that. Different sons, different kings, one after another. Text number 9 says, the son of Devavrida was Babru. Concerning Devavrida and Babru, there are 2 famous songs of prayers which were sung by our predecessors and which we have heard from a distance. Even now I hear the same prayers about their qualities, because that which was heard before is still sung continuously. It has been decided that among human beings, Babru is the best, and that Devavrida is equal to the demigods. Because of the association of Babru and Devavrida, all of their descendants, numbering 14,065, achieved liberation. In the dynasty of King Mahabhoj, who was exceedingly religious, there appeared the Bhoja kings. And then Sukadev Goswami continues telling about the sons of Vrishni. Right? You would remember there was the 3. There was the Madhava dynasty, the Vrishni dynasty, and the Yadu dynasty.
Maharaj, we have heard more about Vrishni and Yadu, but not Madhav dynasty, not so more we have heard.
Yes. Anyway, here's Vrishni. From Vrishni came the sons named Swafauka and Chitrarat. From Swafauka, by his wife, Gandhini, came Akrura. Akrura was the eldest, but there were 12 other sons, all of whom were most celebrated. So we know about Akrura, of course. He was a relative of Lord Krishna, and he was sent by Kamsa to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura from Vrindavan. Akrura was a great devotee. He offered wonderful prayers to Lord Krishna. From Akrura came 2 sons named Devavan and Upadev. So we hear about the different kings and their children and their children's children. It goes on. The first 20 verses is like that. And here, text 23, we hear about Vasudeva. Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna, married all the sisters of Devaki. And then we hear the sons of Ugrasena. The sons of Ugrasena, first one is Kamsa. And Sunam, Nayagrodha, Kanka, Sanku, Suhu, Rastrapala, Drishti, and Tushtiman were the sons of Ugrasena. Then the daughters of Ugrasena were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 daughters. And they became the wives of Vasudeva's younger brothers. Okay, then we're told text 31, through Mansa, King Sura begot Vasudeva, Devabhaga, Devasrava, Anaka, Srinjaya, Samaka, Kanka, Samika, Vatsaka, and Vrika. These 10 sons were spotlessly pious personalities. When Vasudeva was born, the demigods from the heavenly kingdom sounded kettle drums. Therefore, Vasudeva, who provided the proper place for the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was also known as Anakadumbabi. Right? Anakadumbabi. It's referring to the sounding of kettle drums. And because he was born when the demigods sounded kettle drums at the time of his birth. So Anakadumbabi is one of the names of Vasudeva. The 5 daughters of King Sura were Vasudeva's sisters. Sura gave Prita to his friend Kunti, who had no issue, and therefore another name of Prita was Kunti. And then we're told about what happened when Kunti was staying at Prita's house. Durvasa was a guest at the house of Prita's father, Kunti. Prita satisfied Durvasa by rendering service. Therefore, she received a mystic power by which she could call any demigod. To examine the potency of this mystic power, the pious Kunti immediately called for the sun god. So Kunti served Durvasa, she pleased him, she got the blessings of Durvasa that she can call any demigod, so she calls for the sun god. And as soon as she called for the demigod of the sun, he immediately appeared before her, and she was very much surprised. She told the sun god, I was simply examining the effectiveness of this mystic power. I am sorry I have called you unnecessarily. Please return and excuse me. The sun god, however, says, O beautiful Prita, your meeting with the demigods cannot be fruitless. Therefore, let me place my seed in your womb so that you may bear a son. I shall arrange to keep your virginity intact, since you are still an unmarried girl. According to Vedic civilization, if a girl gives birth to a child before she is married, no one will marry her. Therefore, although the sun god, after appearing before Prita, wanted to give her a child, Prita hesitated because she was still unmarried. To keep her virginity undisturbed, the sun god arranged to give her a child that came from her ear, and therefore the child was known as Karn. The custom is that a girl should be married akshata yoni, that is, with her virginity undisturbed. A girl should never bear a child before her marriage. So Prabhupada said a girl should never bear a child before her marriage. Sometimes people think that means he should go for the abortion, should kill the child. Of course, that's not meant. The principle is that the girl should not engage in intercourse without marriage. And if she somehow if she does, then she has to keep the child. But then, of course, it's difficult to marry because she already has a child. But sometimes some men are happy that the wife has a child. They're happy that they already have a child. They don't have to worry about trying to conceive another child. Anyway, the Vedic culture is quite different from present times. So Kunti was in that situation. So text 35, after saying this, the sun god discharged his semen into the womb of Prita and then returned to the celestial kingdom. Immediately thereafter, from Kunti a child was born, who was like a second sun god. So she immediately gave birth, you see? She didn't have to go through pregnancy, she could immediately give birth. And the child was so effulgent, it was like a second sun god. So because Kunti feared people's criticisms, with great difficulty she had to give up her affection for her child. Unwillingly she packed the child in a basket and let it float down the waters of the river. O Maharaj Parikshit, your great-grandfather, the pious and chivalrous King Pandu, later married Kunti. So Sukadeva Goswami is telling Maharaj Parikshit that this woman Kunti became the wife of your great-grandfather. So Vrida, the chapter goes on, Vrida Sharma, the king of Karusha, married Kunti's sister Shrutadeva, and from her womb Dantavakra was born. Having been cursed by the sages headed by Sanaka, Dantavakra had formerly been born as the son of deity named Hiranyaksha. Right? So we know that the two gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, were cursed by the sages headed by Sanaka, the four Kumaras, and they cursed them to take birth 3 times as demons. So the first birth they came as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, and then in Ramalila they took birth as Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and now they've come for the 3rd birth in Krishna Lila, and one has become Dantavakra and the other is Sishupal. So as Dantavakra and Sishupal, they will be killed by Lord Krishna. And then they'll be liberated, the curse will be over, and they can go back to their position in the spiritual world as Jai and Vijay. Okay, we'll go ahead. many marriages, different great souls get married. Here's text 40. The son of Shrutashrava was Sishupal, whose birth has already been described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Vasudev's brother, named Devabhaga, had 2 sons born of his wife. Named Kamsa. These 2 sons were Chitraketu and Brihadbala. Then Vasudev's brother is described, and how he married, and his children, and who they married. And the chapter goes on in that way. Text 45 describes about the wives of Anakadumbabe or Vasudev. Among them all, Devaki was the chief. Right? There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 7 sisters. Vasudev married all 7 sisters, and Devaki was the chief. And then Vasudeva, by the womb of his wife Rohini, begot sons such as Bala, Gada, Sharana, Durmata, Vipula, Dhruva, Krita, and others. So Rohini, of course, is the mother of Lord Balaram, and she's also a wife of Vasudeva. So 2 principal wives, Devaki and Rohini. Devaki is going to give birth to Lord Krishna, and Rohini, she will give birth to Lord Balaram. Text 49 explains Vasudeva, by another of his wives, whose name was Rochana, begot Hasta, Hemagada, and other sons. And by his wife named Ila, he begot sons named Uruvalka, all of whom were chief personalities in the dynasty of Yadu. All right. Vasudeva also had a wife named Upadeva, from whom came 10 sons. And from Sri Deva, another wife, came 6 sons. By the semen of Vasudeva in the womb of Deva Rakshita, 9 sons were born, headed by Gadha. Vasudeva, who was religion personified, also had a wife named Sahadeva, by whose womb he begot 8 sons, headed by Shruta and Pravara. The eight sons born of Sahadeva, such as Pravara and Shruta, were exact incarnations of the 8 Vasus in the heavenly planets. Vasudeva also begot 8 highly qualified sons through the womb of Devaki. These, and then their names are mentioned, including Lord Sankashan, the controller, and serpent incarnation. So the sons' names are mentioned. That's the 8th son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, and the highly fortunate Subhadra, the one daughter, was your grandmother. So Sukadeva Goswami is informing Maharaj Parikshit about these people. Subhadra, the one daughter, was the grandmother. She's the grandmother of Maharaj Parikshit. And then in the purport, Prabhupada points out that this 55th verse says that Lord Krishna, the 8th son of Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swayam eva harihi kila. Meaning that Lord Krishna is not an incarnation. He is not just an incarnation, he's not an avatar. He's the origin of the avatars. So there's no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, and his incarnation. Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the complete Godhead. Incarnations exhibit only a certain percentage of the potencies of Godhead. The complete Godhead is Krishna himself, who appeared as the 8th son of Devaki. This is a very important point, of course, for us to note, that Lord Krishna is not an avatar, but he's the origin of all the avatars. He's avatari. All the incarnations, everything, all come from him. So common people, they have difficulty to understand that. It's not so straightforward for them, but the fact is they have to hear this again and again. Lord Krishna is the origin of the avatars. He is the original Swayam Bhagavan, personality of Godhead. As Prabhupada's purport says, usually the avatars will display a portion of the qualities. But Lord Krishna shows all of the qualities. Everything is there, completely in him. And then the chapter goes on. Whenever the principles of religion deteriorate and the principles of irreligion increase, the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, appears by his own will. Of course, this we're familiar with from the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita how whenever there's a decline in religious principles and a rise of irreligion, at that time he descends. And his purpose in descending is to give pleasure to the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. So Prabhupada in his purport says that in this Kali Yuga, the Lord has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's teaching everyone to chant the holy name. Because in this Kali Yuga, people are very fallen, very sinful, very lazy. They have no idea of spiritual life, and they waste the human life to live like cats and dogs. So Lord Chaitanya has come to establish the Sankirtan movement and to teach people to chant the holy name of God. And if we associate, Prabhupada said, if we associate with this movement, then we directly associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And people should take advantage of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And that way they'll get relief from all the problems created in the age of Kali. Yeah, there's so many problems. The age of quarrel, age of argument and confusion. But if we take advantage of chanting Hare Krishna, then the atmosphere can be transformed. Because by chanting, we're able to directly associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, the chapter then continues. But for the Lord's personal desire, there is no cause for his appearance, disappearance, or activities. The Lord's own desire brings him into this world. Of course, he desires to associate with his devotees and to bless his devotees. But there's no real cause for his appearance or disappearance or activities. As the super soul, he knows everything. Consequently, there is no cause that affects him, not even the results of fruitive activities. As a super soul, he knows that because he's in everyone's heart, so he will know everything. And there's no cause that affects him, because he's spiritual. So he cannot be affected by any kind of material circumstances. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he says this verse is showing us the difference between the Supreme Lord and the ordinary living entity, the jiva. An ordinary being, we only know about our present activities. The body we've been given is due to our past. And that's how we've got another material body, because we had some material desires. So we're forced to accept the body given to us through the material nature, according to our past karma. And the body is just like a machine, and it's given to us under the direction of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Karmana daiva netrena jantor deho papadyate. Everything goes on under the direction of the Lord according to our karma and according to our the desire of the Supreme Lord. So we're given a body under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And we have to take that body, whatever body we're put in. We cannot argue. We cannot say, oh, I don't want that body. Oh, I don't want that dog body. We'll be put into it. And you're put into the dog body, you have to bark. So this is what happens, we get a material body. Lord Krishna comes to give pleasure to his devotees. Lord Krishna is not forced to come, but he comes by his own sweet will. So foolish people, they think that they can equal Krishna, or they think they can become one with Krishna. But that is their ignorance. That is their maya. And this is due to their false ego. The body which we're given is our punishment for our acts in the material world, that we're put into another body. And we're put into the association of different modes of nature. It's very difficult to get free from the material world. So Prabhupada points out that the word Maya can refer to Lord Krishna's compassion or mercy upon the devotees and fallen souls. By his potency, the Lord can deliver everyone, whether sinful or pious. Right? It's not only pious people who get delivered. We see some sinful people also being delivered. Can you think of some sinful people who were delivered?
Putna.
Yes, Putana, that's the obvious one, right? Yes, good. Anybody else? Was she the only sinful person to be delivered?
Jagai Madhai.
Jagai Madai, okay.
Ajamil.
Ajamila. Well, they transformed right before they died. They became very pious. Both Jagai and Madha and Ajamila, they changed, they reformed by the mercy of the Lord. So before they gave up their bodies, they were pure souls. But somebody may be sinful right to the end of his life. Yeah? Just like Sishupal and Dantavakra. Right? They were sinful. And Krishna killed them, they went back to Godhead. Who else?
Kansa was also dying from water.
Who?
Kansa.
Kamsa, yes.
King Anga.
Huh?
King Anga.
Anga, King Anga. I don't know that he went back to Godhead. I don't know he got delivered, did he? He got cursed to die. I don't know that he got delivered. But they used his body for some good. Yeah. And there were other demons like Bakasura and also Agasura. They were they were the brothers of Putana. Huh? Yes, what do you say, Prabhu? Upananda? We already said him. Already said that name. Okay. So whether sinful or pious, Krishna can deliver anyone. Krishna wants to bring them back to Godhead. He can do it. All right, going ahead, text 58. The Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death and duration of materialistic life. Thus he enables the living being to return home back to Godhead. So, the subject matter here is creation. So Prabhupada is talking about creation. Materialistic people want to know why God created the world for the suffering. But Prabhupada points out that it doesn't have to be like that. For the conditioned souls, it's like that. Conditioned souls are trying to exploit the material energy for their sense gratification. And so they suffer. Again, the Prabhupada focuses on the difference between the Lord and the living entities. That the Lord possesses unlimited potency for pleasure, but our potency for pleasure is very limited. We can only enjoy little, but Krishna, he can enjoy unlimitedly. And both the Lord and the living entity, being qualitatively spirit souls, have the tendency for peaceful enjoyment. But when the part, in other words the living entity, when he wants to enjoy independently without Krishna, then he is put into the material world, where he begins his life as maybe as a Brahma, and is gradually degraded to the status of an ant or a worm in stool. That is called Manasyastani Indriyani Prakriti-stani Karshati. Right? Struggling very hard with the material nature due to conditioned life. So the living entity is trying to enjoy the material world. He's thinking he's enjoying, but he's under the control of the material nature. And even when he's elevated, he may be elevated and tries to merge into the existence of Brahman, the same problems will be there. Even if he tries to merge into the Brahman, he will have to come back again, fall back again to the material world. In this way, the conditioned soul, it goes through so much suffering. And that's why the Lord comes. The Lord comes to instruct all of us and to guide us and to show us how to get out. To teach real religion. The real religion is to surrender to Krishna. But because of ignorance, the living entity is surrendering to Maya. He will engage in all kinds of irreligious activities. Prabhupada writes, he will engage in a struggle for existence to become like Krishna. We would like to imitate Krishna. We want to be the controller. We want to be the proprietor. We want to be the enjoyer. All the things which we're not. So the Vedic literature are meant to guide us out from that condition. But we're struggling with the material energy. And the human life teaches us to understand this ignorance. That we're trying to enjoy it's a false life of repeated birth and death. And we have to get out of this wheel of birth and death. That is the real purpose of life in this material world, to go beyond birth and death. So Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter about the demonic nature. They say the world is unreal, there's no foundation, there's no God in control, it is produced of sex desire, and there's no cause other than lust. Asatyam apratistam te jagad ahur anishwaram. Aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kamahaitukam. A powerful verse, warning people the nature of materialistic life. So atheists say there's no God and the creation is taking place by chance. Just like a man and woman, they meet by chance, and the woman becomes pregnant and she gives birth to a child. But this was not chance, this was the fact. The fact is, there's a purpose for this creation. It's a chance for us all to get out of this material world and to become Krishna conscious, to go back to the spiritual world. So we should understand this material world, it is not meant for happiness. We're trying to find happiness here. That is a mistake. There's no real happiness here. We have to get out of this world and go to the kingdom of God. And there you can be happy. We have to give up we have to get out of this wheel of birth and death. So take advantage of this creation to understand Krishna and our relationship with Krishna. And then we can go back home, back to Godhead. So that's the important point there. So then the next verse talks about the demonic mentality and how these demons, they oppose the government. And these demons, they have great strength, but they fight with one another. And they're a great burden on the surface of the earth. And the demons always want to increase their military strength, and they want to increase their numbers, and this way they think they're advancing. They think they're advancing to a better life. But of course it's just a miserable life. They're entering more into the darkest ignorance, fighting wars with each other and killing. It's so terrible. Destroy everything, buildings which men labor for years to put up, get knocked down in a moment with a bomb, and people get their limbs blown off, and so many terrible things taking place in the world. So devotee, they want to advance Krishna consciousness, that we want to see the conditioned souls get free of birth and death. But the demons, the asuras, they have a different idea. Their interest is to increase their power in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada points out that the real duty of the ruler is to see that the people can advance in Krishna consciousness. And to help them advance in Krishna consciousness, you have varnashram, you have the division of the society. And so the brahmanas, they're considered the first-class men. And they're supposed to have all good qualities. And they should be all protected. And Lord Krishna is very fond of the brahmanas, along with the cows. Right? The verse is there. Namo brahmana devaya go brahmana hitaya cha. Jagatitaya krishnaya govindaya namo namaha. This verse is very powerful, very important. That means that Lord Krishna is very fond of the brahmanas and the cows. And the brahmanas, they spread the cause of advancement in Krishna consciousness. And the cows give milk to maintain the body in the mode of goodness. So the Kshatriyas and the government, they have to be advised by the brahmanas. And the Vaishyas, their duty is to produce food. And the Sudras, their duty is to serve the other people, the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas. So this is how the social system works. And when we work in that way and cooperate with each other, then the Lord is pleased and the conditioned souls can get out of the material world and go back to Godhead. So Lord Krishna comes to this world in order to show people how to serve the brahmanas and to protect the cows, take care of the cows. So if we can understand about Lord Krishna's birth and activities, then we can also be liberated from the material world. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti takvata. Tagvadi ham punarjanma naiti mamiti sarjuna. Right? If we can understand the birth and the activities of Lord Krishna to be transcendental, then we don't have to come back to this world again. So very important for us to hear about Lord Krishna, to hear about the transcendental nature of his birth and activities. So liberation, Prabhupada says, liberation is the purpose of the creation. And Krishna's descent upon the surface of the earth, it's meant to help the living entities to become liberated. Krishna's devotees want to teach Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says that devotees want to teach people to be satisfied with plain living and Krishna conscious advancement. People are not meant to be working day and night like animals. That is not the real purpose of life. They're meant to get out of this material world, to become God conscious. So Lord Krishna comes for this purpose, to please the devotees and to also take people out of this world. We're not meant to work like asses just to make some money, just so that we can have sense gratification. So people make plans for material happiness. They're all foolish. They simply get flickering happiness. They waste their time trying to enjoy the material energy. And the demons, Prabhupada said, the demons may falsely accuse the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, but Krishna will arrange a fight between the demons in which all their military power will be engaged, and both parties of demons will be annihilated. So that is something which is predicted here in the Shastras, that Krishna will arrange these things. We don't fight, we don't go to war and fight. But the demons, they do it, they kill each other. All right, text 60. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with the cooperation of Sankarshan, Balarama, performed activities beyond the mental comprehension of even such personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. For instance, Krishna arranged the battle of Kurukshetra to kill many demons for the relief of the entire world. And then 61, to show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. Jai, Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai. You see, Lord Krishna planned to deliver everyone. He made the arrangements like that. Just by remembering him.
What is this verse number 61? It is indicating Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Well, there's
To show
Prabhupada.
causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in the stage of Kali. That was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes? Okay. It doesn't specifically say that, but certainly.
So indirectly, Lord here indicating the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation.
Yes, indirectly.
And in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto also, 11.5.32, it is also mentioned that Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishna, Shankabanga Shaparchadam.
Yes, of course, that's very obvious. That's text. That's the predictions of the avatars in each age, right? Karabhajana Muni talking to Maharaj Nimi. about the avatars in each age, and he mentions Lord about the Sankirtan, that he will come and he's not blackish, but he's chanting the holy name. So that's definitely Lord Chaitanya. Here it says, it doesn't particularly mention the activities. It says he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. So he's teaching the instructions of Krishna, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Chaitanya told the Brahmana and Kurmadesh, Yari deki kari kaho Krishna upadesh. Wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about the instructions of Krishna. So Krishna upadesh, this is being indicated here. Right? Lord Rupa Goswami told everyone like that, they should do that. All the devotees.
Yes, Maharaj. So Krishna ordered to fallen soul, you should give up all activities and surrender unto my lotus feet, then I will protect you. So Krishna ordered, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed that what Krishna says, you accept it. Like according to Bhagavad Gita. Right?
Yes.
So by accepting the instruction of Krishna, consciousness stated Bhagavad Gita could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. So Lord Krishna ordered, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what Krishna says, you accept it. That's it. Right, Maharaj?
Okay. Yeah, I don't think anything wrong.
So we can give this reference, this verse number 9.24.61, and then 11 Canto Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Thank you, Maharaj. Is it okay, Maharaj? Can we give a reference, this the verse?
Well, anyone killed by Krishna is liberated. Whether the Lord kills or gives protection, he is kind to both the demons and the devotees. No, Lord Chaitanya never killed anyone. But you could say he killed the demonic mentality in them.
But Maharaj, there is one incident when Jagai Madai hit Lord Nityananda Prabhu. That time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he called to Sudarshan Chakra to kill Jagai and Madai. But Nityananda Prabhu was so merciful that he stopped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear Lord, you promised that you will not call your Sudarshan Chakra, you will not accept any weapons in this age of Kali.
Yes. Right, he promised that, yeah. In the age of Kali, he said, because everyone's fallen souls, we have to be merciful. That was the point. He said, because everyone's so fallen, you can't kill everyone. Everyone's so fallen. But there was no promise that he wouldn't. But he just wanted to spread the Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy name. So text 62 continues the same way.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, sorry to interrupt Maharaj. Just I wanted to, when I was listening to the discussion, the shloka 61 Maharaj, it indicates the appearance of Lord Krishna only, what I understand. Because it is not indicating anywhere the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, I agree with you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Maharaj, he has mentioned that future in this age of Kali, Lord Krishna appeared in Dapar Yuga, not in Kali Yuga.
Huh?
It is clearly mentioned in the second line.
What does it say?
To show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali.
Where?
Verse number 61 translation.
Oh, in the translation.
Yes, Maharaj. Lord Krishna appeared in Dapar Yuga, not in Kali Yuga.
Yes, so?
So it is indicating indirectly Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in future in Kali Yuga, in this age of Kali. how it can be Krishna?
Well, what it's saying is that in the future, just by remembering Krishna, one can be freed from all lamentation and the unhappiness of material existence. It doesn't say anything about that he will come.
The devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali, the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, or simply by remembering Krishna.
Yes.
Simply by remembering Krishna. Yes. Thank you. Simply by remembering Krishna. Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Sundar Prabhu.
Okay, then 62. Simply by receiving the glories of the Lord, through purified transcendental ears, the devotees of the Lord are immediately freed from strong material desires and engagement in fruitive activities. So this verse describes the power of hearing the glories of the Lord. The devotees are immediately freed from strong material desires and engagement in fruitive activity. So hearing, very powerful process, right? They're no longer interested in materialistic activities. They get freedom from the material world. So when we start to hear the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, we lose our interest in materialistic activities. So Prabhupada said people are trying to oppose this movement, but they cannot stop the movement, because this movement is spiritual. Simply by hearing the transcendental activities, the devotees become so pure, they're immediately immune to the contamination of materialistic life. Materialistic activities are not necessary for the soul, therefore the devotees are freed from such activity. The devotees are situated in the liberated platform, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, and therefore they cannot be called back to their material homes and materialistic activities. Jai. So then, the chapter continues. Lord Krishna performed various activities by his pleasing smiles, his affectionate behavior, his instructions, and his uncommon pastimes, like raising Govardhan Hill. The Lord appeared in his transcendental body, pleased all of human society. So the nature of the Lord is described, his all-attractive nature, his form, which is so attractive. So he's a person, God is a person, he's not just some energy or some light or something, but he's a person and he has a form which is so pleasing. Every part of the Lord's body is pleasing for everyone to see. Apart from his smiling face, every part, his hands, his legs, his chest, is pleasing to the devotees who cannot at any time stop seeing the beautiful form of the Lord. Jai, the form of the Lord. You see the beauty, and the Lord is absolute. As the Lord's form is so pleasing, so the Lord's name is also pleasing. And the Lord's pastimes are also pleasing. Everything is absolute in relation to the Lord. And the next verse goes on to describe about the beauty of Krishna. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. His face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes. Prabhupada said, unless one is qualified to understand Krishna, we cannot appreciate the presence of Krishna on earth. The relationship between Krishna and the inhabitants of Vrindavan is to be noted. And Prabhupada talks about that relationship between Krishna and the people of Vrindavan. The cowherd boys, the cows, the calves, the gopis, Krishna's father and mother, they were never fully satisfied, although they saw Krishna's beautiful features constantly. So seeing Krishna, that is the daily festival, Nitya Utsava, a daily festival. So the people of Vrindavan, they were so much in love with Krishna, their eyes would follow Krishna. They were so deeply attached to Krishna. So the gopis were always thinking about Krishna's lotus feet, how they're walking on the stones and the thorns in the forest, and they felt how they wanted to protect Krishna's feet from all of these things. And they were angry at Brahma because they could not constantly meditate, because the blinkings of the eyes would obstruct them seeing the beauty of Krishna. Prabhupada describes the whole Srimad Bhagavatam as the embodiment of Krishna's form. And the 10th canto is his face. Krishna's smiling face with his cheeks, his lips, the ornaments on his ears, his chewing of betel nuts. All this was minutely observed by the gopis who enjoyed transcendental bliss. They were never fully satisfied to see Krishna, but instead condemned Brahma for making eyelids. So Prabhupada said the beauty of Krishna's face was much more appreciated by the gopis than by his friends the cowherd boys, or even by Mother Yashoda, who was also interested in decorating the face of Krishna. Mother Yashoda wants to decorate Krishna's face, but Krishna's face is already beautiful. There's no need to decorate it, it's already so attractive. And the cowherd boys, naturally, they could not appreciate so much the beauty of the form of Krishna. Being boys, they have a different relationship with the Lord. But still, the gopis, they could appreciate everything. So then 66 continues, glorifying Lord Krishna, how he is Lila Purushottam, and how he left his father's home, he went to Vrindavan, enjoyed his pastimes in Vrindavan with the gopis there, he killed many demons, then he went to Dwarka, married many wives, who were the best of women, and begot through them hundreds of sons, performed sacrifice for his own worship, and to show the principles of householder life. So Lord Krishna, this is the summary of the life of Lord Krishna, how Lord Krishna comes to this world and performs all these activities. First of all in Vrindavan, his childhood, and then moving to Dwarka with all of his family, and marrying, bringing all of his queens to Dwarka. So there was a special love for Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. It said, Krishna is perfect in Dwarka. He is more perfect in Mathura, but he is most perfect in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada said, outside Vrindavan, there's no possibility of reciprocating the loving affairs. That these things only take place in Vrindavan. Other places it's not so, there's not so intimate. So Lord Krishna comes to protect his devotees. Krishna is a person. He enjoys reciprocating with his devotees. Because the devotees have surrendered everything to Lord Krishna, he wants to serve his devotees. He likes to take care of them. So this is a sign that he's a person. He's not impersonal. But impersonality is one of the features of being a person. Ultimately, he is a person, but he has also an impersonal aspect. Brahman is a feature of the Supreme Lord. Brahmano hi pratistaham. Krishna said, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So he's not impersonal. He is Lila Purushottama, the best of all persons. Okay, then text 67 continues. Krishna created a misunderstanding just to diminish the burden of the world. Simply by his glance, he annihilated all the demonic kings on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and declared victory for Arjuna. Finally, he instructed Uddhava about transcendental life and devotion, and then returned to his abode in his original form. So this is the summary of the later half of the pastimes of the Lord. He arranges for the Yadu dynasty all to go back, to return to their abode. They fought with each other and killed each other. It's a fratricidal annihilation. They killed each other. All the Yadu dynasty fought with each other and killed each other. And so they all went back to Godhead, many of them were from the higher planets. They would go back to the higher planets to continue where they were serving as demigods. And then by removing the kings from the world, then he diminishes the burden of the demonic kings on Mother Bhumi. Remember, Mother Bhumi was lamenting the burden of all these demonic kings. And then finally Uddhava. We hear about Uddhava, how the Lord instructed him before he departed from the world. Uddhava was with the Lord and he got instruction from the Lord. The Lord told him to stay, and the Lord told him to go to Badrik Ashram and instruct Narayan Rishis to pass on the knowledge which the Lord had given Uddhava. He said, I want you to go Badarik Ashram and give the same knowledge and tell them how I've departed from the world, I'm leaving the world. So Uddhava had some things to do on behalf of the Lord. He could not immediately go. But the Lord returned. He went back to... And Prabhupada talks about the importance of Jnana and Vairag, that we have to learn these two things, knowledge and detachment. Knowledge about the Supreme Lord and His energies, and detachment from everything which has no connection to Lord, which is not connected to devotional service. So Jnana and Vairag, they're very important. They nourish the Bhakti. Wherever there's Bhakti, there will be Jnana and Vairag. In order for it to be Bhakti, there has to be that Jnana and Vairagya. It's a very important part. So we have to cultivate knowledge, we have to hear, and we have to also cultivate some detachment, some renunciation. We have to control our mind and senses. Very important for us in practicing devotional service. All right, so this is the end of the 9th canto. Are there any questions on this?
Is there, Maharaj, at the end of this 9th canto, it is completed in Bhubaneswar, India, on the occasion of establishing of Krishna Balaram temple. This is the Prabhupada's statement here. Krishna Balaram temple is in Bhubaneswar. So this 9th canto is completed at Bhubaneswar. Does it mean so?
Yes. It doesn't say that this ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 9th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't know, I don't have that in my... You have it in your...
Here in my book it is written.
Yes, even in my book also it's written.
Well, I'm just using computer, I don't have a hard copy. Maybe it's in the hard copy. Not in my it should be here, it's not good, they didn't put it here. Anyway, very nice. Yes, it meant Prabhupada was doing translation there at Bhubaneswar. Prabhupada stayed there for some time. Gaur Govinda stayed in one hut and Prabhupada stayed in the other hut. Prabhupada was... And there was no temple built at that time, but Prabhupada wanted that they would build a temple. So very nice that Prabhupada did this translation work while he was staying there in Bhubaneswar. When he would travel, he would always take his books with him, and he had his dictaphone, and he would sit and translate. Okay, any questions on this chapter? Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
Question regarding Subhadra. Where did she take birth? How did she take birth?
Very difficult question. I've had a lot of troubles with Subhadra.
Even also, when did she take birth?
Well, we don't know. I don't know anyway. It's difficult for me to answer. It seems there's a few Subhadras, you know.
Because otherwise she seems to just appear in Dwarka pastimes and when Arjuna wants to marry her. But before that we don't hear much at all of Subhadra.
Well, we hear something about that she was the favorite daughter of Lord Krishna. She was very beautiful. I think some connection with Rohini. Maybe she's born. I'm not sure. It's quite difficult for me to figure out everything about Subhadra because there are some different statements which make it the whole thing very difficult. Maybe when you go through the 10th canto, you can yourself find out more about Subhadra. I did read one article that was posted by my godbrother, someone called Jagat Guru Swami. And he quoted different statements by Prabhupada and by another Gaudiya Mat sannyasi. I think it was Narayan Maharaj, or maybe Sridhar Maharaj. Sridhar Maharaj had said something. So he quoted different things which they had said, and what they said, they didn't really agree with each other. One said one thing, what someone else said another. I have that article somewhere here in my computer. I can send it to the whole.
Wonderful, Maharaj.
I'll send it. You can read it, but I don't know how accurate it is. You can read it for yourself. It's nice to hear the quotes. He's got quotes by Prabhupada and by Sridhar Maharaj, and then he says some things himself. Anyway, it's interesting to read. But then there was another statement about Subhadra that her name comes up somewhere at the end of the first chapter of the 10th canto, and it makes the whole thing quite confusing. So I'm not sure about everything. But when you go into the 10th canto, you'll come across her name there. And see what you can figure out for...
Mark, we were reading some of the names of the Moon dynasty, and there some of the names were of demons. Like, for example, one of the descendants of Vasudev's 9 brothers is Hiranyaksha. And then we hear of one lady also called Kamsa with a long A. So yeah, we devotees, we kind of say, look, no one names their son Duryodhan or something like that. So it's just interesting to find that some of the names are kind of connected with the previous demons.
Yes. Well, they're related to the demons. But we heard, like the brother of Vasudev's, or the brother of Vasudev married this one, and then they had like Sishupala and Dantavakra and these people, they take birth. And they're powerful kings. So they're Kshatriyas, the great Kshatriyas, and they're born into that society, and this adds to the conflict, the competition, the mood of the competition. Like Sishupal wanted to marry Rukmini, and Kamsa is always trying to kill Krishna, and Sishupal is always envious of Krishna. So, yeah, they were great kings, and they have some there are some relationships there, like Rukmini, Rukma. They have their relationships there, and sometimes even the marriages would be taking place between the different people. Anyway, names, the names, We can't hold it against someone just because they have that name. And somehow these people are all great souls because they're there in Krishna Leela, you know. Even though they're demons, but still they're in Krishna Leela, and they're seeing Krishna, and they're being killed by Krishna. Then it's a blessing, isn't it? To get all that, to have that opportunity to take part in Lord Krishna's pastimes. It's all like a drama. Ultimately, they're all devotees. They'll go back to Godhead.
And, Maharaj, just near the end of the chapter, it's encouraging and inspiring hearing that once hears the pastimes of the Lord, then they'll be freed from all material desires and karma. And then Prabhupada also writes in the purport, just simply by hearing, one becomes pure and immediately immune to contamination of fruitive activity. So this is all referring to Krishna's pastimes, just hearing them. So it's very inspiring and it's very encouraging. But at the same time, it seems like it's not as simple as that. It doesn't seem as simple as that. Just hearing of Krishna's pastimes and everything just happens immediately or automatically. It doesn't seem like it, at least.
I don't get your point. What do you mean? Doesn't seem to.
It seems for a devotee has to do a lot of work, and from the way the verses have been described, it seems it's quite immediate, at once. It seems like quite automatic. But in experience, it seems like, it's not quite like that.
Oh, it's not just simply hearing.
Yeah. Because we're told we have to do a lot of work on ourselves before we can actually really...
Well, we have the example like Maharaj Parikshit simply heard. He simply heard for 7 days, and of course he didn't do anything else. He just simply heard. He put his full concentration into hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and that was enough for him. Of course, Prabhupada does say he was a great scholar, and he was able to know all the Sanskrit, and when he met with Sukadeva Goswami, they could discuss, and he could ask such good questions and so on. So in some ways, it takes some work on our part. We want to understand, we want to get the full benefit of hearing. We have to qualify ourselves. Yeah, we have to, the preliminaries are there. You have to learn the language, you have to understand the moods and the different feelings and exchanges which are taking place. Just like, the relationships between Krishna and his devotees, there's so much rasa involved. We're not so expert in rasa, understanding the different rasas which are there between Krishna and his devotees. But some devotees, they can pick up on the rasa, the different moods which are being exchanged, and the significance of different words also. Just like some words, we're told, well, this word can mean this, but this word can also mean the other thing. And often the way something is worded, it can have an entirely different meaning if we understand the meanings in another way. So, that takes a lot of training to understand these things. So to appreciate the full depth, like Srimad Bhagavatam, we said it's the incarnation of Lord Krishna. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Devananda Pandit, He said, don't ever think you've understood fully the Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, you can never understand fully the Srimad Bhagavatam because it's the incarnation of Lord Krishna. So you'll never fully understand. The Lord is unlimited. So how can we ever expect to fully understand Srimad Bhagavatam? But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. We do try to improve ourselves. We try to hear more and to develop a taste. It takes, as you say, it takes quite a bit of work. Yeah, we have to work. You're doing that. You're doing a lot of work there. Going through this course, studying all the cantos and doing the different exercises. It all helps. It's all going in your spiritual bank account. Okay?
So Maharaj, this statement was told by Lord Chaitanya to whom?
Devananda Pandit.
Devananda Pandit, acha. Lord Chaitanya to Devananda Pandit, okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so if there's no more questions, then maybe we'll just finish here. And we thank all of you very much for your participation in this class. We wish...
you just concluded our Bhakti Vedanta Module 1, because this Module 1 is concluded by you, so then Module 2 will begin.
Okay.
So, and you just continuously taught us 2 units, Unit 13 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
This was a great privilege for all of us. You taught us so well, so intensely in its proper